believers. One subscriber asked me to make more documents with the crease. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to give a time frame. I do it as Holy Spirit guides me to do it. So you know that. In this video, I want to talk about demonic entanglements. Now, what is an entanglement? Now, an entanglement is a situation in the social atmosphere. So it's a social connection or a social involvement that is either quite uncomfortable because the context does not add up, or it's something undesirable. For example, you have a boss that has an affair with his secretary, or you have a wife cheating on her spouse with her brother-in-law, or this one came on Dr. Phil once when I watched it way back. I just watched a few episodes. There was this guy who was friends with someone, but his friends began to have a sexual relationship with his mother, so that was uncomfortable. So an entanglement is a social situation that really should not exist, because that social situation is either toxic or it's dangerous or it's quite risky. So that's what an entanglement is. Now, an entanglement does not have to be sexual, okay? A lot of people, when they hear the word entanglement, automatically think about sexual promiscuity or sexual misery. Now, a lot of entanglements become sexual, but not all entanglements are sexual to begin with. Understand this. So, in this video, I want to talk about demonic entanglements, because all entanglements eventually have a demonic origin. Why? Because in all entanglements there is something you expect out of I won't say a relationship, but out of a social interaction. There is something you expect that you can get, but there's too much coming along with what you want that really makes it, how to say, unattractive to be there. Everyone else can see it's quite unattractive except you. So somewhere you are conditioned into something that's self-destructive. Well, an easy example would be let's say you are married, but marriage did not end up being what you wanted it to be, and you see this 21 or 22-year-old student or secretary or whatever at work, or maybe you are her boss, and you think, you know what, I can be happy with her. What's going on? You have an expectation. Or say you had an expectation. And this expectation has proven to be faulty. Obviously. That's why you're in the middle of a divorce. Now, instead of dealing with your investment in that expectation and to forfeit it, you now want to escape the whole situation altogether. And now this young lady comes by, and the situation suggests onto you, here's your way out, man. Forget that wife of yours with all her issues. With her, a fresh start. Not realizing that she has issues too, because she's born in the world. She grew up in society just like your wife did. So what makes you think that she has no issues? The fact that she was willing to spread her legs for you, even though you were still married, is already a big issue. It's a very big red flag. Strange that you can't see that, but okay. In that scenario, there was an expectation you held on to, led to disappointment, and now you want to avoid both the expectation and the disappointment that came from it. So what's so demonic about it? It's the short-term relief that you're craving, and the fact that you had an expectation that goes against Christ. Because all Christ's expectations bring forth happiness and joy. All of them. Expectations not rooted in Christ are rooted in the demonic. So demons want you to be entangled with them. Demons want you to have expectations that are rooted in darkness. Because as long as you have expectations that are rooted in darkness, you will have entanglements that will choke the life out of you. Now, as I mentioned before, not all entanglements result in sexual misery. Maybe it's a friend from high school that suddenly bumps into you after years. And he has a business, and you get involved in his business, everything goes well. And later on, you figure out, hold on a minute. This guy has consultancy. He has a practice where he consults companies. But hold on a minute. He only has 5 clients, yet he earns around $300,000 a month. So you do the math and you think, which company is going to pay you so much each month just to give them legal advice? So you realize very quickly, this business, something's wrong with it. Now, why didn't you see it from the start? Because it's an old friend of yours. And you were happy to see him. You did not look at the bigger picture. You did not look at the context. You should have asked yourself, why am I encountering this individual right now? Why from all the other people on the earth is right now I encounter this individual? You should ask yourself that. And when you look at it, this individual, after you met him again after all those years, hold on. After you met him after all those years, the first thing he talked about was about the issues he's going through. Which is, okay, if he goes through stuff and you're on good terms, he can share it with you, there's nothing wrong with that. But you should ask yourself, why do you encounter someone after so many years again, and the first thing comes out of your mouth is trouble? There should be a red flag. But okay, how did you end up entangled with that individual? Because you had an expectation, namely, people that are close to me are safe. Why are people close to you safe to you? Why? Because you've screened them. You tested them. Well, you test them with what? With some principles you're holding on to. So you have core expectations that you are holding on to, and you examine whether people match those core expectations. So what have you really examined? You've examined the commonalities between that individual and your core expectations. That's the only thing you've examined. But you haven't really examined the individual himself. So you have an expectation that goes against Christ, goes against nature, goes against reality, goes against yourself. But you've invested so much in it. And because you're operating in this false expectation, you end up stuck in bad situations, in toxic environments. So, all entanglements have a demonic origin, because it's demons that want to be entangled with you. But for demons to become intimate with you, you need to have false expectations. So, examine what it is you're investing in, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Examine your expectations. Examine your criteria. Examine your conditions. Because many of you have conditions that you judge people by, but those conditions are not rooted in Christ. It's those expectations you invest in that become the tool used to ruin you. Straight up. So, keep on agreeing with Christ, be at peace.